Hi, Noel. I am going to be giving you video feedback for the majority of the poems and the writings in this class. So just wanted to start off by saying that it's a pleasure to be introduced to your work, and thank you so much for trying both prompts and being super open and very creative. I also enjoyed your video assignment, so thank you for uploading that. Let's start with prompt one, which is the I am from. There were a lot of things I really liked about this poem. It was a pleasure to get to know you a little bit better through the details of your life, the names of your ancestors, knowing that you grew up in Douglas near the Mexico border. In particular, I really enjoyed hearing about the foods that you grew up eating, the dolmas, the spaghetti, the burgers, the tacos. I think the variety of these foods really speak to the variety of cultural influences that you've had in your life. I also really enjoyed the specifics of the quotes that you grew up hearing, and I'm so glad that you included all three. Um, and I enjoyed also listening to the names of the different artists that have influenced you in your life. So thank you so much. I think you did a fantastic job overall of mimicking the form of this poem. Now, on to the second prompt, prompt number two. I really enjoyed reading your work, and I enjoyed reading the different details of a poem that you created on your own rather than following a form. I noticed that one of the things that you asked in your questions is, are the poems formatted correctly? There's really no correct or incorrect way to format a poem. You just want to make sure that whatever way you're formatting your words is very intentional. So, for example, the poem that you submitted this week reads more like a paragraph than like an intentional poem with line breaks and with making decisions about where you'd like the reader to pause in terms of reading your work. So what I mean by that is, let's start with this first line. Once I saw a hibiscus flower bloom in a pot in my living room. What would happen and how would the reader be guided if you broke your line and you started a new line, so did a line break after the word bloom? It might read like this. Once I saw a hibiscus flower bloom in a pot in my living room. First of all, the rhyme becomes more intentional, and also it causes the reader to pause, which gives us an opportunity to really envision in our own minds a hibiscus flower blooming. I think the next thing I'd like to talk about is your use of the word beautiful. I always question when somebody uses the word beautiful or pretty or sort of a as sort of a placeholder in a poem. It always feels like a placeholder to me, and it certainly does in my own work. Because after that, you bring in these gorgeous details. Its branches were tall and thin. It was bright yellow like a lemon. It had a cherry red center. And I think all of those details actually describe the word beautiful much better than the word beautiful, which is kind of this overarching term. So I think you might want to consider just go ahead and cut that line, because you do a wonderful job in the rest of the poem describing what you mean by beautiful. And then my last suggestion for your next edit of this poem is when you end it, when it bloomed, I think you might want to cut the word it, when it bloomed it. So when it bloomed, I thought it represented what writing looks like in me. So my question is, I think that you probably included that last line because it was part of the prompt, but it's absolutely not necessary to include anything from the prompt in the final poem unless that's specified in the prompt, like it was with the Mary Pfeiffer I am from prompt. So for this one, it doesn't seem necessary to me for you to end it with, and it represented what writing looks like in me. So my suggestion would be, why not go ahead and rewrite that line and make it super unique to you? So when it bloomed, what did it do when it bloomed? I would suggest rewriting that 2 or 3 times until you find a line that you think really speaks specifically to your own unique experience. I think that's it for now. Thank you so much for sharing your work, and I look forward to reading more of your writing.